Imagine waking up in a vast, unfamiliar wilderness. Your clothes are gone, your smartphone is missing, and the ambient noise of the modern city has been entirely replaced by the deafening silence of an ancient forest. You have somehow been transported back roughly 20,000 years to the Paleolithic era, commonly known as the Stone Age. A popular internet debate often asks if modern humans could survive being dropped into the wild. You might think your weekend hiking experience or those survival shows you binge-watched have prepared you for this exact moment. But the harsh reality is entirely different. Without your modern community, engineered tools, and an updated immune system, you wouldn't just struggle to adapt to this new life. The brutal truth is, you wouldn't even survive the first 24 hours. Let's see why your modern biology is a liability, not an asset. We have a collective tendency to deeply romanticize the Stone Age as a simpler time. We imagine our ancestors living in perfect harmony with nature, free from the crushing stresses of modern civilization and daily commutes. Pop culture paints a picture of rugged, muscular individuals easily spearing mammoths and roasting them over a cozy fire. But evolutionary biology and paleontology tell a vastly different story. The Paleolithic era was a brutally unforgiving environment where survival was the absolute exception, not the rule. Our ancient ancestors were not solitary action heroes roaming the plains. They were highly specialized survivors deeply embedded in tightly knit communities. When we strip away the modern conveniences that have fundamentally altered our biology over millennia, we are left as one of the most vulnerable creatures on the planet. To see how vulnerable you really are, we have to start the clock. To understand exactly why your solo time travel adventure would end in absolute disaster, we need to break down the timeline of your first day in the Stone Age. We will walk through the immediate environmental shock of the first few hours, where the Earth itself actively tries to freeze you. Then, we will look at the grueling reality of finding food, where your modern digestive system becomes your worst enemy. After that, we will uncover the invisible, microscopic killers waiting quietly in the dirt and water around you. Finally, if you somehow miraculously make it to nightfall, we will confront the apex predators that consider you a highly nutritious, slow-moving snack. Let's start the clock and see exactly how your body would begin to fail. Hour 1 begins with an invisible enemy you can't fight with a spear. Within the first 4 hours, your primary concern isn't a giant monster, it is the air around you. If you land around the Last Glacial Maximum, which peaked about 20,000 years ago, you are in for a massive thermal shock. According to climatologist Jessica Tierney's research published in Nature in 2020, global temperatures were about 6 degrees Celsius or 11 degrees Fahrenheit colder than today. That might not sound like a huge difference on paper, but on a global scale, it means extreme weather patterns, biting winds, and landscapes dominated by ice and freezing rain. Without the insulated synthetic clothing you are used to, your core temperature begins dropping almost immediately. Your body starts pulling blood away from your fingers and toes to protect your vital organs. You might try to build a fire, but rubbing 2 sticks together is incredibly difficult even for modern experts under perfect, dry conditions. In the damp, freezing wild, it is nearly impossible for a beginner. As hypothermia sets in, your modern brain, accustomed to climate-controlled rooms, starts to panic. Shivering consumes huge amounts of calories, draining your energy reserves at an alarming rate. Your motor functions become clumsy, making it difficult to even gather leaves for insulation. The very climate of the Stone Age acts as an impenetrable wall that modern humans, stripped of their technology, simply do not have the biological adaptations to scale on their own. If you manage to survive the cold morning, an overwhelming hunger will soon take over. But the forest is full of traps. By hour 8, dehydration and severe hunger will cloud your judgment. You will instinctively look for water and anything resembling a berry or a root. This is where your lack of prehistoric botanical knowledge becomes a death sentence. According to anthropologist Peter Unger, foraging in the Paleolithic required immense specialized knowledge passed down through generations. You cannot simply walk up to a bush and start eating. Many wild plants, tubers, and seeds are packed with deadly toxins as a natural defense mechanism. Prehistoric humans knew exactly which roots required hours of boiling, mashing, or washing to neutralize these poisons. Eating the wrong, brightly colored berry won't just give you a stomachache, it will cause severe vomiting, accelerating your dehydration and draining your last remaining energy. Even if you find a stream, drinking from it is a massive gamble. The prehistoric water supply wasn't treated with chlorine. Evolutionary anthropologist George Armalagos highlighted that ancient environments were teeming with waterborne pathogens and parasites. Your modern immune system is like a software program that hasn't been updated for this prehistoric operating system. We have spent generations drinking purified water, leaving our guts entirely unprepared for the aggressive bacteria thriving in natural water sources. A single drink from a seemingly crystal clear stream could introduce pathogens that cause debilitating dysentery within hours, leaving you completely incapacitated on the forest floor. And it isn't just what you ingest that will kill you. Sometimes, a tiny mistake is all it takes. By hour 14, you are exhausted, starving, and stumbling through dense brush. In your clumsy, shivering state, you trip and scrape your leg against a jagged rock or a thorny branch. In the modern world, you would wash it with soap, apply an antibacterial ointment, and forget about it. Here, that minor scrape is a ticking time bomb. Paleopathology, the study of ancient diseases, routinely finds evidence of severe bone infections, like osteomyelitis, in early human remains. These fatal infections often started from incredibly minor injuries that just wouldn't heal. Without a sterile environment or modern antibiotics, the bacteria living in the Stone Age dirt immediately invade your open wound. Your body will try to fight off the infection, sending white blood cells to the area, causing it to swell, throb, and burn. But without medical intervention, this local infection can quickly enter your bloodstream, leading to sepsis. You begin to run a fever, completely destroying whatever thermal regulation you had left. Your mobility is now severely compromised, meaning you can no longer run, climb, or even forage effectively. You are essentially grounded. The true terror of the Stone Age wasn't always a dramatic battle with a mammoth. Quite often, it was a slow, painful defeat brought on by a microscopic enemy you couldn't even see. But let's pretend you avoided the poison, the bacteria, and the freezing wind. The sun is now sinking below the horizon. You have survived the brutal trials of the day. You are cold, hungry, and exhausted, but you are still breathing. You might feel a fleeting sense of accomplishment as twilight sets in. But as the shadows stretch and the forest grows impossibly dark, you realize something terrifying. The real nightmare hasn't even started yet. The true kings of this world are just waking up. Welcome to the night shift. By hour 19, total darkness consumes the landscape. Humans have terrible night vision compared to almost every other predator in the animal kingdom. For ancient humans, the mastery of fire wasn't just for warmth. It was an absolute necessity for holding back the dark and the monsters that lived within it. Since you failed to start a fire earlier, you are completely blind, shivering under a bush, relying solely on your hearing. And what you hear will paralyze you. The Pleistocene epoch in Eurasia and the Americas was home to megafauna that viewed hominids not as hunters, but as prey. According to paleontological research by experts like Cajus Diedrich, predators such as the cave lion and the giant cave hyena were nocturnal specialists that actively hunted early humans. These predators were significantly larger and faster than their modern counterparts. A cave lion weighed hundreds of pounds more than an African lion today. They had specialized night vision, acute smell, and soft, padded paws that allowed them to move through the dry leaves in absolute silence. You wouldn't even know you were being stalked until it was entirely too late. Without a tribe to keep watch, without a fire to deter beasts, and without a spear you actually know how to use, you are sitting at the bottom of the food chain. Your modern brain, programmed for spreadsheets and social media, cannot process the primal terror of being actively hunted in pitch blackness. As the rustling in the bushes grows closer, a grim realization sets in. In your final hours, the psychological toll breaks you completely. You realize that all the movies, books, and survival shows lied to you. The illusion of the rugged, lone wolf survivor shatters in the face of prehistoric reality. Humans were never meant to survive alone. Anthropologists like Michael Gervin have shown that early human survival relied entirely on complex social networks, food sharing, and collective defense. A solitary human in the Stone Age wasn't an adventurer. They were a tragic anomaly destined to die quickly. Your failure isn't because you are weak. It is because you are missing the single greatest survival tool our species ever invented: each other. The 24-hour mark arrives, but you are not there to see it. Whether it was the relentless freezing temperatures, a catastrophic sip of contaminated water, or the silent strike of a prehistoric predator, the Stone Age claimed you, just like it claimed millions before you. Your time travel experiment ends in a harsh biological truth. We sit at the top of the food chain today, not because we have thick skin or sharp claws, but because we spent thousands of years building a world that protects us from nature. Without that world, we are just fragile meat in a very dangerous forest. Let's bring you back to the present. So, the next time you feel stressed about a slow internet connection or a delayed food delivery, just remember how incredibly lucky you are to be living in the present. Do you still think you have some secret survival skill that would keep you alive in the Paleolithic? Let me know your boldest survival strategies down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this reality check, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into our past, and check out the video on screen right now. Stay curious and stay safe in the modern world.